Hiya! This is Kitten Features, and you're listening to Show X Live with Ken in a student accommodation all the way in Scotland, and Wade in his white windowless van? Uh-oh, I better get out of here. Enjoy the show!
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Show X on VTWProductions.com. You're listening live at 2 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. GMT, this Sunday, the 21st of January, 2018. How are you doing today, Ken? How's it going?
Hey, yeah, I'm pretty good. How about you? How are you doing?
Doing very well. Let's see. I'm doing great. Weather and stuff is going on around me. I wish I could show you out the window right now, but we have snow here in Denver today after we were sitting at a lovely 50 or 60 degrees Fahrenheit yesterday, and now we are sitting much more at, 25 degrees. So about -3 or so C right now that we're sitting at. So those wonderful wild swings we get here.
You are joining us because we've been sitting at -3, -4 most of this week, and we've been hit by some really hard snow. In fact, it got to the point the university had to close on Friday, which is unheard of. It only happens once every few years.
The university closed? That never happens.
Yeah, it was strange. I mean, I was still in. I mean, the university closing is for students, right? The staff are still kind of vaguely expected to be here.
Faculty's closed. Yeah.
What does that mean? Well, it's a case of we can't. We're told to go home, but it's a case of we still have deadlines. I mean, those haven't gone away, and so we're still going to try and meet our deadlines. So why go home? But yeah, crazy weather here. I totally sympathize and empathize.
Awesome. So we are joined today, by the way, by some special guests. We have in-house with me, as as I've said before many times, my local cosplay tight-knit group that we all run around together doing all kinds of things. And so I am joined in studio today by Zenko Akko, as well as by our friend Hyde Meyer.
Hey.
And so we are all in-house in studio today, partially because we've all been snowed in. And so they're joining us today for that.
The best way to join the show.
And so,
welcome to the enslavement.
Something like that, right? Something like that.
We all want to be here. We all want to be slaves. No,
I got free breakfast out of it, so.
Admittedly, yes. When people tend to be staying the night here, I often make breakfast in the morning, which has actually been a little more of a must-do today because one of the things... top of the order. Let's see. How do I want to do this? Top of the order.
Boozy experience.
First thing I will bring up is, let's see, I got the tweet out, I got that going. Even though I don't see joined into the show right now, I always like to do birthday wishes at the top of the show. And so for today's one, I definitely want to get off right at the beginning. A very happy birthday to good friend of this show, although we haven't seen her on for quite some time, Miss Kopii, because today is her birthday. And so I want to throw it out to anybody out there who, as we like to always say, gifting on Steam is one of our favorite means of celebrating people's birthdays. So if you have Kopii as a friend, go check her wish list and see if there's not something you could send digitally her way to wish her a happy another year. So happy birthday to Kopii.
Yay.
But for us here locally, as I talk about things that we haven't... Oh, actually, wait. Should I do the actual birthday thing? Let's say, right now...
Go ahead. If you don't want to embarrass yourself in front of your friends, then you should definitely still do it.
Embarrass myself?
We know what's coming. It's okay.
Yes, they've heard this before, but... as I start this... Miss Kopii. Happy birthday, Mrs. President. Happy birthday to you. So happy birthday, Miss Kopii.
I love it.
Anyhow, I'm going to take some of it off the top. And hey there, Kuro. In that... Oh, actually, I'll also say a happy birthday to Richard, because we went and celebrated for him yesterday, which leads to other great events here in town. Also, top of the hour, we'll problematically say for all of those who are in chat or are listening elsewhere, you now have a new means at which you can follow and get involved with Show X every Sunday. So we have reached out and now have access via Twitch. Today is our first day on Twitch.tv. If you would like to check us out on Twitch, go to VTW Show X. That is our Twitch account there. and you should be able to watch us live on Twitch at the same time that you can watch us live on YouTube, thanks to technologies. So
Look at us keeping up with the modern means of podcasting.
ish. Yes, we'll see how that works. So, thanks to the technology of Restream.io, we are now broadcasting multi-videocast out there. So please follow us and follow you. If you already have us on YouTube, follow us on Twitch. Let's get our numbers up there so you can catch us out. And you can easily tweet, reshare our links everywhere on the interweb so that everyone can watch. All right, anyhow. So, just going to kick things off with my bit of, we'll kick in here with
Functional deviations.
and what I have been doing this week that hasn't been geeky, because it'll lead into everything else. But partially why everyone's in here is Zenko Akko, as of, I think, officially yesterday, we'll put it, now live here. And so they have
Hey!
moved in to the Death's House and are now permanent residents.
Yes.
I do have video, but I don't think it's worth sharing, of the status at which we are currently all maintaining. It was a process that we spent over the last week, essentially, starting to get them moved in. It's been a little longer than that because I think it was, towards the end of last month when we had a scare about the potential for them to be forcibly removed from their residence before coming here, that we moved some of their important items, some paperwork, and for us, more essentially, like their 3D printers and things like that into my basement.
It's important.
Starting
They're business items.
Yes. And starting essentially a mini version of what we've talked about with the makerspace in my basement. So that has begun. But we started there, and since they finally decided that it was probably worthwhile to just go ahead and transition here sooner than later. So we spent most of this week moving things over. Some earlier in the week with some help from family and such, getting a couple dressers here. And for me, it was a matter of like, oh, maybe I should go finish cleaning out that guest room from previous roommates who still had things here. And so kind of went through that, did some vacuuming, cleaning up in general just to kind of get stage set. And then we spent the last 3 days or so more concertedly actually packing up their place, getting everything packed into both. One day we did moving van and actually had some help movers, so thank goodness didn't have to move any of the heavy things down 3 flights of stairs from the third floor.
No elevator.
So where they were living was on the 3rd floor of a complex, many stairs, and I will say that within that last week of traveling things up and down the steps, I did more leg exercise than I will probably have to do for the rest of the year. It
I
was a
cheated.
lot.
I was organizing everything in the condo still, so I didn't have to take the stairs that many times. I just told people what to take.
Yeah. she
I
got
was
to cheat.
spoiled.
She got to cheat. The rest of us, though, or a lot of us were doing a lot of the carrying up and down. So a lot of that, got everything packed together, moved between the moving van into a storage unit, and then through multiple trips in our vehicles, things into the house that were the necessary to live kind of items, right? The things you don't want to do without. I think everyone who moves comes to realize that they acquire things over time. The longer you're in a place and
Yes.
the longer you're in a larger place than you were last time, that it seems like you keep grabbing more and more things. And so they're at a stage where I think you did pretty good packing the space you had, because you had a 2-bedroom townhome with a loft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in that space, you had everything pretty much situated. Because we didn't bring any of their furniture other than some cabinets, some shelves and such. So bed and couches and tables and chairs, other than one computer chair, all basically got packed into the storage unit.
Yep.
Even though they filled up most of a, 10 by 15 or 10 by 20?
Well, it was a.
Well,
it's
for
a-
the storage unit.
The storage
Storage
unit's 10
unit.
by 15.
So a 10 foot by 15 foot storage unit is mostly filled. Even with that, my main living room area right now,
Is a disaster.
It's a path. There's just a path.
it's a bit of a maze of things and boxes and things.
We'll be sorting through that today in the
cats
next
are.
few days.
Yeah, my cats are very enthused at having new places to hide right now.
They're like, ooh.
And anyhow, so we're in the process of getting them moved. Everything's moved. Now it's settling new roommates into a space and finding where I can reshuffle and what things I can get rid of to make room for everything. So that's what's going on right now, in the immediacy of time. Other than that hasn't been geeky. Let's see. I think I had notes somewhere. I don't know if I put them in anywhere. Say happy birthday to Kopii, and then what else hasn't been geeky? It's been moving.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's mostly been.
Which is,
been doing.
So with that, and I was talking about kind of like what it means to live with Wayne, I guess, or be around Wayne on weekends.
Is it like an ideology as well as a physical space?
That's a thought.
I would say some of that. Honestly, it's funny because Zenko Akko were the first time, anytime I've had a roommate or lived with people, that we actually had a sit down before they moved in to talk about kind of the expectations of living together.
It's planning.
So, and I will say, this wasn't Wayne like, I've been burned by so many roommates, let me sit you down. It was
I've
us
had
being like,
wonderful
hey,
roommates. All
we
my
want
roommates
to
have been
know.
great.
I'm just kidding.
It was one of those things. All my roommates in the past have been wonderful, and so it's never been like I really need to make sure I sit down and lay down the law and do this and that or anything. I've learned things from different personalities and some people I've lived with, but I'd never preempted it other than like, here's what I expect the rent to be, and like, let me know before you leave. And, but for them, we actually sat down like a whole evening talking about logistics and expectations and stuff. I was like, wow, that's nice.
I'm
We
the
wanted
planner
to
of the
know.
group, okay? It's got to be planned.
He is the planner of the group.
So, but that'll be going forth, and we'll see how this all turns out.
The
What kind of
anti-plan.
shenanigans and stories end up from another group here that are true geeks. And so that's what happened is we finished moving everything yesterday, and then from there, I may have stacked the deck and not quite double booked, but really tightened some things because another friend was trying to set up the birthday celebration for our friend Richard downtown. He's a semi driver, so a lorry driver. And he was coming in from across the country. He had been in Texas yesterday morning and had been driving all day to get into town back into Colorado. And after having arrived, basically my friend Tara just grabbed him and drove him up to Denver another like 2 hours to celebrate his birthday. In doing so, though, mad props to Tara because she found this restaurant that I don't think any of us, I know none of us have been to, and I don't think she had to before. She'd just done like Yelp reviews. But in doing so, this place is called Tokyo, but instead of it Y-O at the end, it's I-O. And so it's a Japanese restaurant. And my own impression, but I'll let you guys each speak, was that this thing was fine. Like, this Japanese food was legit. And I think it was known initially as more of a ramen place, but they had bits of everything, including what looked to many, as being some of the most amazing looking sushi I've ever seen.
Yep.
Like
Yes.
sushi rolls the
Like,
size of your
like somebody
fist.
was swooning over here.
Yeah.
I might have not been able to keep up with the amount of saliva my mouth was producing.
And was watching like other people receive
Just kinda like,
theirs
hello.
with jealousy, like looking like, oh, I see that thing at your table.
I see that sushi you have over there. Hello.
And so yes, there was a lot of like looking at other tables like, oh my, and then half the group the other side of the table had gotten some sushi rolls. These things were monster sushi rolls. Like
Enormous.
nobody could fit one in their mouth as a single bite. It was you
had to
take
bite
it and
in
like nope. That's gonna be multiple bites. So that was impressive. I know for us, did we all get ramen?
Yep.
Yeah, we all got different types of ramen, and it was really good.
Oh, yes.
Can confirm.
And we know this was good Japanese food because at the end of the day, even though we had some appetizer, because you guys had gotten the chicken appetizer,
Yeah, karaage.
and then we had all gotten ramen, and then afterwards we got desserts, and all of it was wonderful, as well as sake. Holy cow, the sake they had there was amazing.
But not once did I feel like I was going to burst from being
Yes.
too full.
That was the Japanese side of it, because
Yeah.
even though we ate mass amounts of these huge bowls of ramen, because it's Japanese food, it never fills you up. Which is scary and awesome at the same time. So it's super tasty, but you never get full, so you're kind of like, oh, hey.
Oh, it was good.
Oh, it was phenomenal. So if you're ever in downtown Denver, Tokyo, with an I-O at the end is amazing. So, yeah. Anyhow, so we did that, came back, finished just before doing that, we did one last run to the house to get all the last little tidbits to wash, vacuum, steam clean it, get it ready to be transitioned. Made it back in as the weather in Colorado was just starting to settle. And we started seeing like the clouds coming in, and the air had gotten distinctly colder, and you could feel the moisture in the air.
Feel the winter.
Because we knew there was, and we were getting alerts on phones of like winter storm warning coming and such. So it's like, oh, I think this is going to happen. Interesting. They're calling for like 6 inches of snow or something. We'll see. Yeah.
20% of that 16 inches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it's funny because Akko specifically has a theory for like how they do weather here in Colorado, where it's the percentage they give of chance of snow is not chance of snow, it's the percentage of how much snow they predict we will actually get. So if it's like a 20% chance we'll get 6 inches of snow, it means we'll get like an inch or two, right? Where
In that hour.
yeah
in that hour, because then the next hour the
may
percentage changes, so you might get actually more snow by then.
And so it's just
That's the thought.
all over. But so anyhow, it did snow last night. We got in here, we got back just as the weather was starting to get wet, and woke up this morning, all of us, and looked outside and was like,
Guess I'm not going home.
Walking
yeah,
in
I guess
winter
we're good thing you guys have
wonderland.
moved in, and Hyde, it's a good thing we got like plenty of food. We're good.
Yep.
So we are doing a bit of a picnic today, hanging out. And so I made them some pumpkin spice pancakes, some
Spoozy.
eggs and bacon, and
Pumpkin
Some
spice.
boozy.
yeah. So
Pancakes.
They were delicious. We ran out of milk.
yeah, I had no milk, so I supplemented things.
It was
Bailey's.
wonderful.
Bailey's is milk-like, right? Irish cream, that's like milk, right?
I like
Right?
it.
Well, you tell me.
It worked really well. I
did.
will say, I think it like sank to the bottom of the bowl a little bit because the last few pancakes were a little more exciting than the first few.
Yeah.
And those were most of the pancakes that Wayne had.
Yeah, mine were all at the end of the pile, so I was like, ooh, am I getting buzzed from breakfast?
It was
This is
good.
nice. Let alone, I've been a bit, I don't know, I've been on a pace today because everything I've consumed, I think, has alcohol in it today. From my pancakes, not the eggs, but then Zenko's been making tea, as
Oh, yeah.
happens. And
As happens.
I
one
believe
does.
I've done very well with finding mixers for the teas we've had the last two teas.
Yeah, it's been good.
Because
Wait, haven't they both been Contro though?
no, well the other one's Contro, this one was triple sec,
Oh, okay.
and so it's a
Wait, what do you say? How do you pronounce that last drink?
Contro.
We call it Cointreau. Oh, okay. Just making sure it's
Yeah.
the right thing. Okay.
Yeah, same thing.
Oh,
It's
okay.
the littler bottle of basically the orange liqueur.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice stuff.
I tend to say Contro, but yeah, Cointreau
Okay.
I can see.
I've mostly heard it from him, so who knows?
I'm the one who provides the bar. They're the ones who explore and mix and play.
We're
with it.
adding to it now that we've moved in.
That's true. We did bring your liquor as well.
Just little bits.
And so, with that though, I think I was very successful in my concoctions because it was both of them were orange liqueur essentially. The triple
Yeah.
sec a little lighter because this is like an apple type of tea, and with it, oh my.
Yeah.
So-
So this particular tea is called mulled cider scented black, and it's a medium-bodied black tea with spice and apple in it. Almost has a either spiced apple or caramel apple sort of taste to it. So it's not just straight up apple, and then adding in the orange liqueur gives it this almost like this nice autumny fruit salad sort of taste to it. It's very nice.
I need to work on my alcohol books. I still need to do my one about one of the liquors. I want to do everything that you can make with it. And now I just need to start capturing in my own books of like every concoction I come up with that's good. Anyhow, so that's mostly what's been going on this week here that hasn't been geeky.
We've already started.
I will let you, Ken, please inform us what you've been up to so we continue the trend since we're taking over a bit of it right now. And I do have a question towards the end of yours about what we talked last week. So yes.
So my week's been very, very, very dull. And so half of my topic was just mentioning that it snowed, which I've already done now. So that's been on half my talk
but
so far.
Wait. But Ken, you do have to express why that's meaningful. Because we're in
so
Colorado and
normally
we get snow
in the
all
UK
time.
we get snow, right? But it's usually a case of a light layer 5 times a year, and that's about it. So the fact that we actually got snowed in this week, and there's been people complaining about accidents all over Facebook and Twitter, and then the news has been going crazy, saying first of all it was a yellow alert, then it was an amber alert, and amber is like the one that you should actually be worried about.
That is very different here, by the way. Because when you say there's an amber alert here, it means someone has lost a kid or has been stolen.
Missing child.
Yeah, it's missing child. So when you say that, it's like, wow, that's some bad snow. Don't let your kids out the door; they're not coming back.
The fair about.
Once the snowmen start melting, you'll find them again.
That's right.
Exactly. No, that was my first thought. Like,
Got me too.
What?
I was like, oh.
So yeah, it snowed, and that was kind of crazy. And next week I'll be traveling. I'm going down south again for 2 days, but that means 1 day drive down and 1 day drive back up. So it's about an 8-hour drive or so each way. So that's a bit of a pain in the butt.
Well, because you're going out of Scotland then, right? You're going back down to.
Yeah, down to Ipswich in England. Yeah, so I'll be down there for 2 days. There was a hiccup with my hotel, though, rather annoyingly. I booked it 2 weeks ago, and I have like a guy, right? Because I book hotels so much for work that I have like a guy. And I called the guy.
You have a travel agent essentially, but specifically around work.
Not a travel agent. It's actually a team. Because I use one service repeatedly for my. So the way that my work does it is that basically I'm free to book it where I want, and I claim the money back. So
gotcha,
the best thing to do is to do it through like an agency where you get rewards, right?
Oh yeah, no, it makes sense because if you do enough travel for work, then eventually you can do it personally.
Yeah, exactly, right? Or travel more comfortably or whatever, right? And so I've been using Hotels.com, which is great because one, I can use Quidco, so I get cash back on that, which is nice. But secondly, I can also get free nights in hotels for every 10 nights spent, and then I get one night free on the average of the 10, right? So if I spend on average £70, I'll get a £70 hotel night free, or I can take the money off of a more expensive one. So in the past, what I've done is when it comes to my wife Kitten Feature's birthday, I tend to just sort of say, I'll get you a really fancy hotel room and I'll make it free because I can just apply all these tokens, right?
I don't know the person who's going to say no to that.
Right.
Exactly. So it's great. We live like a millionaire for a single night, which is really nice. You know, spending like £500 on a hotel night would be ridiculous and like just silly for a single night any time in the world, except for when it's free. And so that's why I do it. So I called these guys up, and I'm on the gold members team because I do it so much. So I got like special customer support, and so I said to them like, "Hey, I'm trying to book this thing. Can you do it for me and get me a good price?" Yada yada yada. And so they booked it for me. But last week I realized that they booked it for February, not for January.
Oh no!
So they also gave me the non-refundable rate, which is the cheaper rate.
Oh no!
Right. So I called them up and I said, "Look, guys, you screwed up, right? Like this is not my fault. So what with that non-refundable thing?" And they basically said, "Well, yeah, we did screw up. We'll see what we can do. It's in the hotel's hand." So they went and called the hotel on behalf of their company, sort of thing, because they realized they screwed up. And they got a refund, and therefore I got a refund. So it's all fine. But it meant I had to like book a last-minute hotel instead, and so I'm not staying the one that I actually enjoy staying at. I'm staying at one of the crappy ones, which. But that's fine. And yeah, but that's my week. That's my whole week. It's been so dull that booking a hotel has been the most interesting part of it.
Hey,
it's okay. I dream of getting away
that's
too.
It's a thing. It's okay. I wouldn't feel too bad about that. No, that's
also,
all right.
One more thing, actually. I've decided to make the most of the travel down and up, and as usual, I'm going to listen to audiobooks. And Kitten Feature, I'm going to follow Kitten Feature's advice and listen to her ones this time, because in the past she's always said you should read this, you should read that, and I'm always like, oh, my list's so large of things to read. I don't know if I can add to it, you know. So I'm just going to discard the list and just accept whatever she recommends. So I'm either going to really enjoy the drive down or not. So hopefully she has some good recommendations. She suggested the name of what was it? The Briar King.
Briar King. I don't know that one.
Yeah. Briar King. Oops, let me find it. It's by Gregory Keyes.
Okay.
It was part of a 4-series called The Kingdoms of Thorn and Bone, and I believe it's fantasy. It's a fantasy novel.
Nice.
And it was published in 2003. So I'll be listening to the audiobook of that on the way down somehow. I'm going to find it on Audible or something.
Hey,
but yeah, that's my.
Just get it in MP3. It's a wonderful thing. I know I took.
Yeah, exactly. It's much easier than any other path. But I don't have to acquire it, and I think I'm going to try and do it legally. So we'll see.
Well, I was going to say with Audible though, I think you can do it for like offline play, and such that you can download with. I think you can do with their app, kind of like you can do with Netflix and with I think Amazon Prime, you can do it now as well, almost all those apps. Like if you're going on a plane and something like that, you can actually buffer at least 1 or 2 episodes of something or however much onto your local device, and then you can use them when you don't have connection. So I've been doing that for almost every time I travel.
I've even
That's
downloaded
good.
it and put it on my iPod, but I know I'm one of the few people that has like a separate iPod and phone, so...
Yeah.
That was the norm, right? Like, now it's a rarity, yeah.
So, but no, that's my suggestion anyways of what you could do, but up to you. All right, so that's still, you have done things. You don't have to sit there and say like that's all you've done. It is about
I've
prep
done
and
a
getting
lot
out
of
there.
work stuff, but I don't want to talk about it. It's just not. I just don't want to talk about it. It seems like it's all I
That is
talk
fair.
about.
That is fair. Well, I do have a question for you, Ken, and this was going to come up here in this section. Last week, we had talked a lot about personality types. And I had gone in about the personality type tests. You had taken yours on air, basically, which is great, and we had talked to our listeners about theirs. And now, I don't believe we got any direct response of people who did their personality types. Oh, wait, that's a lie! We have an email actually about Geek Cred that talks it, so maybe I'll throw that in here as it's kind of a transition to it. But I also have my personality type experts in the room here, and so I'm kind of curious. And one of the questions I'm going to have for you is, did you by any chance get Kitten Features to take the test? Or is that something that you let go?
I told her about it, and basically she sort of said, well, I've done these things before, I'm not too interested. And I said, okay. No, I did not. Which is a shame, because I'd love to see it, because I imagine she would be a polar opposite to me.
Well, it would be very interesting. And admittedly, we do things where we will think or kind of come up with our own thoughts on what people's personalities would be, just based on how we know them. And so we'll see things like, I think I could react to this one almost on your behalf. I know that Akko and I did that a little bit, and I kind of was, when you were taking it, I was kind of figuring what your answers might be along a lot of them, just because we've talked so much. I think I was mostly accurate, did well. And so, but anyhow, actually, to talk about just a little further, email that we got in about Geek Cred and personality type, quote, wall of text. This coming in from AgriSSW, which awesome,
Hey.
haven't heard from you for a little bit. So, email goes, greetings once more, great sirs of the best show with the letter X. AgriSSW here again to share some Geek Cred. First off, I've been playing a lot of WoW with my good friend Kopii, and a dual boxing my account along with Ambrosia's, getting ready for Battle of Azeroth. Can't wait for allied races. I so want to make my Dark Iron Dwarf. This week I also got my new party card game that I kickstarted a few months ago, brought to you by T-Turtle, Unstable Unicorns, a game about unicorns, rainbows, and even narwhals. I can't wait for the next time all my friends get together and give it a go. Finally, on Wayne's recommendation, Ambrosia and I took the personality test that he spoke of. I must say that our results were like 90% dead on accurate. I came up as a Sentinel Consul, an ESFJ-A.
Okay.
And Ambrosia got the Diplomat Campaigner, an ENFP-A. My breakdown was extroverted 67%, observant 56%, feeling 58%, judging 60%, assertive 81%. Ambrosia, my good friend Kopii, and I all agree that my results were very accurate. I will have to show this to my other friends next time we all hang out. That's all I have for now. Thanks for taking the time to read my email out on air, and keep up the great work, sirs. P.S. Shout out to Kopii for being a great friend and helping me grind out rep in preparation for Battle of Azeroth. This coming to us from AgriSSW, level 110, Human Paladin on the Guild Silverwings on Moonguard US, the Paladin and husband-to-be of Ambrosia Hartnett. Thank you, as always. We love hearing from you, AgriSSW. But this does go into our whole discussion about personality types and such. And so I just want to kind of follow up. It's unfortunate. I would have loved to have heard what kittens were.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. It's just in our group, we seem to have a lot of fun with these. Talking about it, and especially amongst our group, because it helps us work on how we communicate and understanding when we do things that are like a little differing from each other, why that might be. And so for us, the personality types have been not just entertaining, but actually quite useful.
Educational, yeah.
Yes. Well, and it also has given us language to talk about some of the ways we are seeing, perceiving, understanding each other or situations around us. Different, types and functions, basically knowing when we all see a situation or work on it, how we are all perceiving them from different perspectives, which has been really enlightening. Because there's things that, and it's kind of like where Ken, you took it, and we agree on many levels how we interact with different things. Where when we hear how someone else would do it, they look and we are like, what? What? Why would anybody think that?
Like, what are you doing?
How could you see such a situation like that? It makes no sense. But then when you actually understand the personality type, oh, that's exactly how they think. That's why they think that way. And yes, Serathis in the IRC, friends don't let friends play on Moonguard. We talked about that. It all depends what your friends are into. You know, if your friends like RPing things about, you know, the different things that different druids can do with each other.
Okay. That's
Upstairs
enough of
in, what is it, Goldshire? If you go to the Goldshire Inn on Moonguard,
Oh dear.
be ready for some digital things. Just saying.
that.
Especially upstairs. If you have a quest that takes you upstairs, be prepared. You'll get a lot more than a quest reward.
It's made me never want to ever do quests in Elwyn Forest ever again. In any server, anywhere.
Yes, there's so much yiffing.
Worse than the Barons.
Stop.
Oh, it's bad. Well, wait, what was it they added when you could change this? Never mind. Kopie's not here. We can't talk about these things.
Doesn't
Anyhow.
irritate her because she's not here, yeah.
Well, no, it's not about irritating her. She knows all that happens on Moonguard. She's well aware. She just accepts that it's there next to her as she walks by, blissfully ignorant. Or doesn't admit to ever having participated in such things. That's
I
alright.
just don't understand, okay? I mean, like, there's games out there that you can mod and do whatever you want in, and you decide to go do it in this innocent game where there's nothing of that sort in it, and it just doesn't make sense to me. I mean, there are other outlets. Use them. They're made for it. Like, why are you
No,
you defiling this beautiful game?
That's what Moonguard is for. It is the land. It's the land of the druids,
Land
both
of
Horde and
Parliament.
Alliance.
I actually checked the stats today, weirdly enough, on the number of classes most played, and it showed it by server.
Okay.
And on Moonguard, the most played class is actually Hunter.
Well, they
Which
have
is kind
pets.
of worse in some ways.
Oh dear.
All the huntards. What? No. Anyhow.
Oh
No, I
dear.
like that I was able to wrap that into a game at least. So, personality type. Yeah. So, have you had the opportunity, Ken, or talking about anyone else to kind of utilize or look at with personality types, or have you thought any further into it and how you're interacting with people? Because I know we did on the show, and I wasn't sure if it carried on beyond that.
It solidified my own thought process on how I sort of look out on things. It was like, I always thought I was a very logical person, etc. But now that I was taking a test, which is, yeah, you're pretty much an emotionless husk. I was like, yeah,
I'm with you
yeah.
there.
I'm used to this. I'm kind of accepted it now.
Well, so, and one of the interesting things is when we talked about it last time was just us on, and we are similar in so many ways. I have another half here with the other two in the room who have different types of interactions with the world. And I'd almost love to play the game of kind of seeing, like, if there's a way to look at a scene or something occurring and how that difference occurs. And, like, people's things to kind of see what's the big, you know, what are ways of doing it. Because you're talking about being emotionally a husk, if you will, or just that is not one of the primary things that drives you is emotion. Because I know, at least for myself, you, and for Akko, we talk a lot about being logic-driven and where decisions are based heavily on, is that logical? Because when we were giving the test to our friend Hannah, one of the challenges we noticed was whenever we got into the questions that were specifically about, are you worried about someone else's opinion or emotion or how they're going to feel after the situation, or are you worried about the truth, the facts, what's logical driving it? And she wanted desperately to answer that she was driven by logic, but she hesitated. And it was such a bad thing where she was sitting there looking at like, and the whole time she says, all, you know, because us, we would respond instantly like, well, logic, duh, like not even a question, right? Because it was a conflict, we looked at her like, yours is you're worried about what people think.
And even at that, she was really great taking the test because overall she like knows enough of who she is that she was able to answer things without like quibbling about it and that sort of
she
thing.
actually answered.
And those were the areas where she would be like, oh, I do, but I don't. But because of that, we were like, Hannah, you care about this, yes.
Yes, you care. It's okay. It's okay that you
It's
care.
okay. We
It's true.
don't choose to be that way.
It's
We're just the way we are.
And that's one of the important things about these types, because a lot of times, especially, I mean, at least in the US anyway, people want to be considered the paragons of rationality. And so when they look at something like that, they think, oh, if you're a feeling type, that means you're illogical and,
Or you're weak.
or something. But
that sort of
really, the whole thing about the type theory is that these are all valid personality types. It's just a different way of seeing the world. And just because someone is a feeling type doesn't mean they don't use logic or can't be logical. It just means that they have a different priority on emotions, relationships, those kinds of things.
So
And those,
I'd like to touch on a little edgy topic here, but do you think this is possibly? I'd love to see the stats behind this on the general populace and what they get, because I imagine there's probably a gender difference here. Because I think, generally speaking, women are sort of seen as being acceptable to be more emotional and the likes,
Yes.
and it's okay to have the answer, whereas guys having that would be kind of looked down upon.
So actually, if you go to the 16 Personalities site, they do have a breakdown of statistics on where the most common types are. I don't know if it will do it for the UK, but I do know. So 16 Personalities is a little bit of a different blend on the type theory, but it's still pretty good. But for the most part, in the US, guys are more thinking perceiver types. Women are more feeling judger types. So that's where we get the stereotype, so in American media, of the kind of logical but generally bumbling, not really planned guy. And then you have the really together, homemaker making everything happen, but also has a heart of gold, very soft, warm, affectionate kind of thing.
So there are some, just to make it easier to say, some of the letters on there. So you have the 4 main letters on there. That there's somewhat more of a trend that women will be feelers and men thinkers, and a few like that. There's also trends, not necessarily gender differences, but like that there are more sensors than there are intuitives in general, and things like that. So there are a few things that are either more common in a particular gender or in the overall population sways one way or the other as far as number of people that have that particular element of the personality type.
So, for example, in the United States, what's known as the analyst types, so intuitive perceivers, so intuitive thinkers, NTs, they make up 10% of the population. So analysts are actually very rare, comparatively, in the U.S.
And that would be the two of us here,
So
or in that category.
We're those types, and it's called basically the rationals or the analysts. And or you could also affectionately call us the Debbie Downers. It's just
we'll point out what is wrong.
Always focused on the wrong, like, oh, this could be better. Why? No. Well, and so
In a good way.
Looking at the personality trait maps, and it's interesting. So they do break it out by country, and like in the U.S., they say introvert versus extrovert. We are 0.4% more introverted than extroverted.
Huh.
Where in the UK, and they're actually very similar, it's a little less, it's a little closer to average there, where their introvert is 0.33% more than extrovert. But they have it down by like the intuitive versus observant. So that one, we do more intuitive here. It's 9.2% difference. And the UK, it's 10% difference also towards intuitive. Thinking versus feeling. In the US, it's mostly feeling, 14.8% difference.
Interesting.
Wow.
So that one is accurate. So the sensing versus intuitive is wrong, and that's funny because a lot of times sensors will mistype as intuitives.
That's true. We did talk
Sensors
about
are
that.
more common than intuitives, and so the difference between the two, I guess you could say at a glance, is sensors are very much more practical, less about theory. It's more about getting things done. It's the here and now. Intuitives are a little more big picture, maybe miss the details, but also see the meaning behind things. but they tend to be rarer than sensors. Sensors do mistype because a lot of times when people take these tests, usually one or two of the letters will have to be adjusted because when people take the test, often it's more maybe what they want to be, what they've learned they should be.
So I will say the first time I took the test, I think I had 3 letters wrong because of I grew up around, like all the rest of my family is a very different personality type from mine. And so I'm a good example of where I felt like I had to be a feeler or I was not like good or human or, and finally realizing that no, I'm actually a thinker, and that's why I always felt awkward in all of those situations because it was not who I actually was. So I learned how to fake being a feeler. Didn't mean that I felt anything. I just
Oh gotcha, that's right. So yeah, Zanko can come off seeming like one of the most, what do I want to say, most like caring and supportive kind of personalities. Very, very just like.
Not that I'm not caring. There's just plenty of situations where I actually don't care.
But that's not the thing to do because people expect to have some sort of caring, empathetic response, and it just doesn't.
Maybe I am terrible.
Well, but the discussion being that she can fake it so well, having been around people who always used it.
I care about you.
And so that's one thing to also note about personality types, and if you do take the test, and I highly recommend, is that, as mentioned, like my first time I took it, my scores were there, and I was at the right typing. But the next time I took it, my scores were there with much more extreme division between what the other type would be versus being kind of that middle line. Because even in our email from Agris SW, a lot of his were in that 50% towards one or another, which means you still can lean the other direction. You're kind of similar. But what I found is that once I more accepted what it meant to be my type and just kind of read through it some more, I was like, oh yeah, the next time I answered it, I didn't really hesitate as much on some of those questions because I was less worried about what society thinks I should say or what my perception of society thinks I should answer to be the perfect me. And instead it was like, nope, that's how I feel.
It's actually really freeing to be able to have that because then you know where you, like what you are, who you are, and where you're comfortable. And then it's good to branch out from there because it's making you just more well-rounded in how you're able to interact with people and see the world. But knowing that you have a core that is a particular thing and you can just rest in that.
Yeah, no, it makes it so it's a lot easier. Anyhow, as you're saying, Ken?
I was just going to say, have you ever done one of these tests? I don't know how verified it is by actual psychiatrists out there, but there are tests which you can do online which are for like testing if you have any mental disorders. So you can check if you're come on the autistic spectrum at all, Asperger's, sociopath, or psychopath. Because I did it with a few friends last year or 2 years ago.
And how many issues did you have?
Well, all
I like how the answer starts with
logical thinkers in our like friend group. We all got pretty high on the sociopath psychopath side of things because we'd end up choosing logical solutions over empathetic ones, and that came across as that sort of uncaring side of things. When really it's a case of no, we get it. We realize how people would see it that way. We just choose to do the logical one instead of the caring one.
Right, and so this is. Sorry, go ahead.
So, I was going to say, so have any of you guys tried any of these tests? It's quite interesting.
I haven't tried to take any of those. I'm okay with my level of crazy, and I don't want others to be able to try to tell me what I need to do to fix it. No, I learned at a young age that I'm not ADHD. I just, when I do have the desire to look and try to do a dozen things at once, I go back to the old thing of school. Instead of putting drugs in me to make me stop and focus, I got smacked over the head and had to sit there and focus and not get smacked over the head again. And so I learned through very difficult means how to do it. Well, it was just a different time. There were no things to like flake it. It was like, you better learn to deal with this. Learn to brush your shoulders off and learn to deal with it hardcore or you're going to fail. And so I just had to learn to control it myself through will. And it's not to say that everyone can or it's easy. That was just my answer. And so, but
that's fair.
It is.
I was just going to say, trying to take it's not a good idea to take those ones because it's for the same reason that it's a bad idea to look up on WebMD. Self-diagnostics. Everything's
I have cancer.
So you take those online ones, and it's more like everything is ADHD, everything's sociopath.
Well, because everybody, according to
cancer.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, right.
WebMD. Oh well, it's either an ingrown toenail or it's cancer.
Right? And the problem is, especially with these, I would say it's even more dangerous in today's society because so many people are celebrated to being victims versus having to have the strength and being celebrated, be strong enough to deal with things. People actually get rewarded for saying, I have a problem. They get rewarded and celebrated for saying, look how many medications I'm on. They get reported for, and so instead of people just keeping that and doing what they need to actually get through things that doctors have helped them figure out, they will sometimes, some personality types will seek out some of those things because that seems what it's hip to do, or it's like everybody is, or all my friends are doing this, so I must also, or wow, you're right, you have that issue, I may not, but I have this one thing that's similar, so maybe I do. And so unfortunately,
I'd say there's nothing wrong with doing these websites, like so long as you take it with this sort of grain of salt of this is not a diagnosis, this is just for fun, right?
And
like,
it's not a good.
If you go in with the idea of I am going to have a diagnosis and I'm going to tell people that I am autistic or I am whatever afterwards, then that's self-diagnosis.
That's different. It's
else.
one thing if you're trying to get information. It's another if you start to use that as the answer. And you're saying, Hyde?
Yeah, well, it's opposed to saying like, oh, well, I must have this. It is good to do self-exploring and be like, oh, well, this might be something I can at least consider in the future, or maybe this is something, but maybe not that. It's good to recognize things that could lead into other things and recognize things about yourself, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you have that particular mental illness.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I've seen certain people, certain individuals who seem to want to have something.
You don't want it. Oh my god, being neurotypical is the dream. You don't want this.
And I think it's because in some of those groups, and I've seen it in certain supports, that people almost celebrate the fact that somebody was so courageous to come out with something, to announce it or something, that people are like jump on the board with it.
You don't want this.
And so, and that's kind of what I'm saying.
Stop.
It's not cool. But I've seen groups that seem to make it feel that way, and it seems like, wow, isn't it interesting that everybody in this group has something? Everybody. Because if you look at actual statistical norms, that's not the case. You know, people may have light versions of something, but not everybody
just like to be devil's
is.
advocate, right? Like I'm not. I do
You
actually.
heathen.
Agree with you, right? Like, these people are annoying.
No,
I agree with you.
we need this because otherwise you and I agree all the time. This is why it's also good to have other personalities on, because I'd love for you guys to disagree with me. I know that I can be overbearing sometimes, and sometimes people are willing to intimidation factor. But because I don't know everything, I just know that I do. But you're saying it.
I was just gonna say that perhaps, even though this is unlikely to have a group of people who all have mental illnesses, perhaps they're drawn to each other because they have mental illnesses. You know, maybe they're seeking.
And that is an interesting aspect, and a lot of things that I've also seen in a lot of communities that I've been in and around is often people who recognize similarities, whether it's personality types or the way they react to certain things, be that because it's a mental illness or because of a personality type, you can be drawn to each other just because of similarities. It could be that you share a mental aspect of how you would react to things because of the way you function, but it could just be,
Well, it could be easier to get along with your own type.
Yeah, and that's totally true. Like, if you're around someone who understands what you're thinking, like, if you react a certain way to something because you just don't like it, and they can follow that without you needing to explain it every time, you're probably going to get along better with them.
It's never. It's always important never to. I mean, just kind of going back a step. Never to underestimate the power of suggestion, or the desire to fit in, because people really are malleable, and when people really want to fit in with a certain group. Or when just by being around people, you'll start to pick up some of their mannerisms, some of their communications,
things that you say, stuff like that, saying stuff. You'll find yourself.
Everyone is a sponge.
Like, heaven forbid, if someone says heck.
I will say I can notice within this room how many things that we have picked up from one another. And I actually was talking with my mom on the phone the other day, and she said, "You said that like Hyde." And I was all, I do spend some time with her.
I will say this. All of it is very, very fascinating to me on an academic level as well, because back in university, I had one of my areas of inquiry was research psychology on human learning and memory. So how people learn, how people remember, and kind of how it affects personality was one of those tracks I took, and it was fascinating, and it's also interesting academically to see it happen in real life without experimenting upon people, because
On purpose, when you could just witness it instead of setting up the scenes and thus actively
exactly.
like, when you actively set up your friend groups to be an experiment. Yes,
Oh, that's
thank
interesting.
you.
That's like a meta level, choosing your friends based on the idea that you want to experiment upon
Hey,
them.
wait a
So,
second.
as to why you choose your friends.
Wait, why are we all in this room?
Why did we move into this house?
So that's why he always has the notebook.
Yeah, Mr. Kyoyo. over
Wait
here.
a hecking second.
Well, and that's something that, now admittedly, we try on the show to be somewhat, no, I won't say sensitive, to avoid subjects that we have very strong opinions about, where we'll piss off the world if we tell them our truths. And instead just try to keep on things like gaming. But, at the same time, one of the things that I have found, especially through this group, is that, in a way, I hate that in society we keep pressing people to not talk about real things because we might offend people. And it's one of those things that...
Congratulations, I didn't develop an opinion on anything until I was like 18.
Right? And that's one of the
Thanks,
challenges, 'cause
society.
Everyone should have opinions. Everyone should have very varying opinions that are true to them. And the real lesson is just to learn how to understand what your opinions are, what they're based upon, and hopefully find some facts to support what your opinions are based upon, not just because you kind of think something, but actually go test your theory or your opinion. And to be willing to share them with others without the expressed desire to change someone else's opinion. We always talked about the difference between an argument and discussion. A discussion, you go in there and share information and people take away from it what they can. An argument is where you think, I'm going to change someone, and I, heaven forbid, will never change mine. I am so rock solid on my opinion, I shall never, I won't even consider someone else's.
At the same time, everyone wants to be correct in their opinion.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But
So-
there's the difference. There's the want to be correct, because none of us want to walk around like, oh, I know I'm an idiot. But
I mean, I have my moments.
but we can all be wrong at times, right? Not everyone has all the information. So for me, the big thing is it's being able to admit when you have been incorrect with something. And like I've talked to my group about it, my big deal is if I come even later after a conversation to realize I was wrong, I will try my best to go seek out the person I had that conversation with them and tell them I was wrong. Hey, 3 weeks ago when we were really having that heated discussion about this, I went and researched and read about it. I want to let you know you were right. So yeah, no, you got it. You were right. Sorry about that. Because for me, that's even another step of me acknowledging I have learned, I have grown, I now know more. And I'm not saying that's what anyone else can do. That was just something I figured out for myself I needed to do to be able to be honest to say that I'm better now.
Yeah, that's a great thing to be able to recognize in yourself that you can be wrong and be willing
I
to
like
tell
how
people
Ken-
when you are wrong, because
I
without
like
that,
how you
we're,
looked at me a little bit
horrible.
like you looked at me a little bit like, good for you. Screw that noise. I'm right.
That's like Aqua
So, I
half the
don't know-
time.
I don't know if you guys have heard of the subreddit I Am Very Smart. But it's just
No,
it's like
because
people
those places are
online.
devil areas.
Oh dear.
It's so good. It's just like screenshots of like conversations online where people like intentionally try to show how smart they are and are really smug about it, and they
Oh no.
they almost come off as creepy, or it might be in like a flirt, like I don't know, Tinder or something, or it might be on Facebook or whatever. But
Yikes.
it's so
Yikes.
funny. It's just my favorite subreddit. It's just it makes you both cringe and laugh at the same time. I highly
Oh, dear.
recommend it because it reminds me of this. Right? It's called I Am Very Smart.
Nice.
I'll have to check it out.
Excellent.
Reddit does amuse me.
Oh
there are
good.
places of the
Yes,
interwebs I
Oh, good.
cannot be.
Well, so I enjoy
Graduated
it.
from Tumblr to Reddit.
Well, I enjoy reading the writing prompts.
Those are pretty good.
Fun stories.
Oh, they're great. Yeah, they're great.
Yeah.
There
Oh,
are a lot of
I
really
see.
clever things there.
Okay, so admittedly,
Very interesting
the way I
concepts.
do this is I refuse to explore certain places on the internet.
Just because I found 4chan before I found Tumblr means nothing. You should
You
explore
grew
things
up
you
on
like.
4chan. The Teenage Mutant Awkward Turtles.
So
It's true.
to avoid these places on the internet for myself, I instead rely on others who find their entertainment through such vile and dark places.
You live vicariously through other
And
people through the
I-
internet.
I allow them to share the things they have found because that way I don't have to weed my way through those paths. I don't have to spend hours in
Picture Baby Hyde.
subreddit channels.
Picture Baby Hyde, age 16, floating in a cesspool
Without gators
without
or,
arm floaties.
Yeah, in Tumblr and Reddit hell.
or tall boots.
So I don't know if Wayne's told you guys, but I teach computing science, right, at university.
okay.
And
He is a professor.
one of the things that we talk about is privacy online and keeping safe on the internet and the ethics of policing the internet, etc. And inevitably, the discussion on 4chan will come up, right? Like,
Because it has to.
either the shooters bring up, or even I'll bring up. I'll talk about the fact that there's places online like 4chan, like 8chan, like these different places where you will
Do you
find
need
the
more
most vile and
Chans? Come on.
disgusting
Yes.
human people. And it's always interesting because I always see in the class there's a couple of like knowing nods of I'll never go back there. But then I also see the innocent who have never been there before,
What's
and I can see on their face that they're planning on googling it later when they go home. If I do good or bad, like I'm telling them not to go there. I mean, I'm teaching them how there are bad things on the internet that we should avoid, and whether it should be policed or not. Have that discussion.
There are
and,
bad people on the internet. Bad things happen there. Please maintain your
be
innocence.
aware and be strong, because you will find stuff. It may find you.
If you go there, it will find you.
There are beautiful places on the internet as well. Just
But
not.
generally speaking, Reddit's not bad though. I mean, Reddit's it's very contained. I mean, unlike 4chan, which has something like 30 or
pretty
40
nice.
boards, which are 98% disgusting, then 2% okay and unused. Reddit, I would say, is the opposite. It's 98% completely fine, safe for work stuff, then 2% crappy subboards that you have to scour to find. For example, if you go to some of the worst ones I've seen, I actually saw them today, funnily enough, is the subreddit Stealing.
Okay.
And it's literally just people talking about the hauls that they get from different shops that different people have been stolen from. And
Wow.
they give tips to each other as to how to steal. And it's always really... I opened the board and looked at it today, and I was like, that's kind of interesting. Like, I thought maybe there was like a, I don't know, some sort of vaguely ethical meaning behind it. Maybe it's people stealing off of people who deserve it or something. I don't know, like a Robin Hood element or something. No, it's literally just people stealing, and I don't know. I do something vaguely moral, or at least ambiguously grey. But no, it was just very, very evil.
Okay, so I will tell
the
you.
thief board. Got
Yeah, I
it.
will tell you, Young Wayne, thank goodness these things didn't exist on old BBSs where I could dial in. Because I had that phase, and oh god,
dear.
I've told friends that I was pretty adept. I was a horrible person. I could steal everything. And eventually, thank God, I got caught. Because otherwise, I don't know where I would have been. But no, if I had had a place to share these ideas,
Bad news.
I would have been stealing cars at a young age. No, no. See, yes.
I think I stopped at magic
You know,
cards.
parents protect your kids somewhat. Let them explore, but damn. No, that's crazy.
$5 for
I never really
20
got into
cards?
stealing.
Come on.
It's something that, I don't know. For mine, it was a phase, and it was more to show off and whatever. And I just got surprisingly good at it and had friends who celebrated it and would challenge me.
I was a poor baby and stole magic cards.
Yeah, mine was
From
art,
Walmart.
art supplies, toys, beers a couple times, which I first
Yeah,
realized that
mine
was
was like-
horrible and disgusting at a young age. And
Just magic cards. I didn't want to pay $5 for a pack of 20 cards, and I might not get anything good out of. I also needed more
Learning good
cards because I was
boxes are
very
bad at a
bad.
young age.
I am still very
Exactly.
bad.
yeah. So, yeah, kids, don't steal.
Darn loot
Don't-
boxes.
don't
Or if
do
you're
it.
going to do things that can be replicated on your own computer, and therefore no one actually loses something, just royalties or money.
No,
You know,
no,
back when
no,
the days
kids.
of Napster
Kids,
were huge.
no, don't steal.
Oh, I'm
Stop.
sorry, wait, no, sorry. Yeah, that was the message.
Don't endorse that.
What Hyde just said. Yeah, don't steal.
Shame on you all.
Gotta have
Stop.
a disclaimer. This is not.
Show
does
X
not
and VTW Productions does not recommend the actual stealing of anything, be it intellectual property, digital, physical media of any kind. Please earn things and pay respective rights and royalties to the parties they deserve.
I feel guilty and
Thank you.
filthy as I
feel
should.
better now.
The lawyer in the room feels good.
Is that a good on-the-fly disclaimer?
Okay.
Again,
it
another
was-
funny thing that we're mentioning this. I was actually approached by. I'm not going to talk exactly. But when somebody in the university approached me saying, "We have a student who has been caught, or we've got a disclaimer from a company saying this person with this IP address has been caught downloading something illegal. Can you check the computer? And I said, and he said to me, this person said to me, how do we know that they've been downloading it if the file's not there? And I said, well, you really can't. Unless you record their actual traffic,
unless you're doing it,
traffic.
unless you're doing entire traffic logging and stuff like that, and it's and IPs can be spoofed and so many.
Well, they said to me, what if they have like uTorrent or BitTorrent installed? And I said, well, that's completely legal and ethical, and there's nothing wrong with that.
There are companies that can't afford it. Yeah,
it's like saying somebody looks at weird stuff online because they have Internet Explorer installed. You can't do that. That's not fair.
I mean,
right?
Explorer.
If you have Explorer installed, something's wrong.
Well, I say that as I am running the show off of Edge/Chrome/ I have all the browsers.
Edge is better than Internet Explorer used to be. It's okay. It's not the best browser, but it is better than Internet Explorer used to be.
But Explorer 11 is
Internet
actually
Explorer
okay.
2.0.
It's oddly Explorer 11 still has things where sites are coded for it, and they can't handle full HTML5 integration.
That doesn't mean it's good.
Weird.
Just because stuff's made for
okay.
the most
New does not equal good.
It's necessary. I'll put it that way.
I like Netscape.
Hey, I need to find an article. There was one I read. I don't know if it was online or in a magazine recently that was talking about some of the internet first browsers, the first search engines, things like that, and where they are today.
Boolean searches.
It talked about Netscape. It talked about like Ask Jeeves. It talked about
Alta Vista?
Alta Vista.
Yes.
Oh, okay, so here's my thing.
Pre-Google.
Wait. So Alta Vista. But do you guys remember Hasta La Vista?
Yeah!
Well, no. We
So,
just use AOL.
but AOL is the internet.
You've got
What do
mail.
you mean I need to get a different ISP?
Mail.
What? AOL? You've got mail. But do you remember Prodigy?
No.
Oh, God. Prodigy was the cancer before AOL. AOL basically, I don't know if they bought them out, but AOL became what Prodigy was.
Interesting.
I was on Neopets.
That's right.
You're the sweet summer child.
So Ken is in your age group. So similar
Okay.
internet
Oh.
experiences. Yes. Oh no, you guys are very similar age. And so yes, that's entertaining.
Putting some interesting
Oh,
things in
wow.
perspective for me.
She's older than she
I like
She's
the
older than she looks.
Oh, that I heard. So did somebody think that I was much younger, much older?
Well,
I can only see you like an inch on the screen, so it's hard to
can
tell
only-
anyway.
Wait, I can't do
No,
that.
that one's like 2 inches.
Yeah, but I'm at a distance, so it's like coming out.
They can see you through my OBS stream part that's closest to them.
Okay.
And then I have you on my main screen a little bit, and I have the actual Skype window. You're on all 3 of my windows. Just to say, with the way I read it, you're on all 3 of my screens at once. It's entertaining.
You're everywhere again.
It means no matter where
To
I'm
be
looking.
fair, Sunday's the one day that I don't wear like my like working clothes, my like teacher clothes. Like I'm
Right.
wearing a hoodie and jeans today, so
Good.
it's the worst day to judge my age. But
I'm in my pajamas.
So just by the conversation and such, I'm always interested. I love talking about how people perceive age, and because you can't actually see me, that adds to it almost. So you're judging it entirely on my voice and the way that I explain my experiences, etc. How old did you think
Yeah.
I was beforehand?
Not a particular age. I thought
About
you were
yours, maybe?
probably closer to my age.
Well, okay, so I have a theory, and
How old do you think she is?
I'll let that answer turn around.
That's exactly the problem, right?
So I will put this. Right?
No, she enjoys the game.
I
Okay, it's a
love
good game. So
hearing
here's the
people
challenge:
guess
is
my
Ken
age.
can't see you right now
Oh, okay,
because he's looking at my camera. He can see
Okay.
me.
got it.
I would have to actually. I guess I could.
Just scoot over in Dwayne's camera.
I could do that.
Do it.
Yeah, you come close real quick.
I'll take this.
And that way Ken can get an eyeful and decide. But I have come with a theory for a long
He's
time.
already gotten
that
hints, though.
My theory for a long time has been that we all generally, especially if we associate or introduce or interact with someone on a regular basis, that we tend to believe they are our age because we're interacting with them, kind of doing the same things we do. And so in general, we will assume people are somewhat close to our age, just because we're doing similar things and having a good conversation. So that happens, I believe, naturally. Beyond that, though, so it's easy to assume people are close to your age. So, okay,
Smile
so
at
now
the
you have
camera.
a good look at Zenko here. And so
Hi,
what
Zenko.
what would you guess, Ken, is Zenko's age?
I would probably say earlier 20s.
Earlier 20s.
I like it.
So the best
Do
is...
me.
Okay, move in.
You step out. We'll do each one. We'll do each one here. We'll do
Okay,
this.
so
This is
you're
entertaining.
Your guess at earlier
Can I get
20s.
told if I'm correct or not? By
Yeah,
the way.
no, I will.
Am I
But I'll
close?
wait till you get them all first. I'll wait till you get
Okay.
everybody's first, and then we'll go back and we'll actually disclose at least closeness or what, depending on what. All right, so Hyde's coming up next. And so
I would say later 20s.
later 20s.
Okay,
Early 20s,
okay.
later 20s. All right. So now Akko has to, and then we will.
Alright.
It's the best because the reveal, once you know them all, will be much better. And so,
It's true. Oh no, not that direction. No, you.
Yeah, so now
Wrong way.
Akko's here. And so what would you guess Akko's age?
I would say I want to judge it based on the previous two partly, so I am edging younger, but I'll try not to. I'm going to say mid to late 30s.
Okay, perfect. So with those assumptions in hand,
I love this.
we'll do a drum roll.
No. Before we do this, we have to give a number for Kent.
Oh, for you guys, assumption of Ken?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
good,
I think that's
good.
only fair.
Yes, it is.
Mm-hmm.
That would be fair. So you guys have some view. I don't know if you need a closer. Actually, what I can do real quick, and this will hurt the viewers. Actually, no, I'll do it like I've done in the past. So for Ken's view, everybody, we're going to do main monitor, and we will. So why did it go away?
Oh, you can't click off your monitor when you have that
Wait,
maximized.
okay, I can do this.
Oh, okay.
So-
All right.
All right.
Okay.
For all the viewers online and such, here's
23.
Ken, looking big, beautiful, at full 720p resolution for our stream. And so for the kids in the room, what would you assume Ken's age is then?
23.
All right. The other two?
3 million.
Okay, because before I was gonna guess later 20s, and I'm still trying not to. I'm trying to think, not about like.
Yeah, I gave information
Some of
ahead
the
of time. You
information.
guys have some knowledge.
Picture him without the beard.
Yeah, that's part of
Oh,
it.
that's not a good idea. You'll now be like mid-teens.
When Ken shaves, he goes into pre-20s. It really does look young.
I understand.
It's a pretty impressive beard. I've been trying for a very long time. I can't.
I'm along the lines with Hyde, but I'll say maybe like 24ish.
Okay, 24ish?
I would have gone closer to 28 because there's certain
Yeah, certain ticks and little
like
pieces
wrinkles.
Yeah.
wrinkles with the
Smile
laugh
or
lines
something.
around the eyes, the wisdom, and knowing that he's a professor at university.
Yeah,
teaching people
because
computer science.
that was part of what I was going on in originally too, where I was originally going to be guessing later 20s.
his wedding band and such.
Yes.
And so yes, this is great. This is great to kind of try to figure out like what might be the answer. All right, so the nice thing is I tend to know everybody's, but I will let everyone go around the room and say. So we started out, and we don't even need to go into mine because everybody knows my age. Even on the show, but ha. So we started out with Zenko.
Zenko.
Because Zenko is Fey folk.
And let's see.
She is fairy folk.
You guessed how old?
You guessed in early 20s, right? Which
Okay.
is generally, I would say, the most common.
That's the most common guess for my
Recently, yeah.
age. Yeah. I'm about to turn 31.
You're kidding. Oh my god. I would ID you in Scotland. Like, you're 18 here. I would
Well-
ID you just in case.
We got good
I'm almost
stories.
31.
That's great.
I have had people literally step back when I told them my age.
Yes, like freak out.
They're like, what?
So,
Crazy.
Taylor.
Bewildered. Yeah.
I've had people tell me that that's not my age. I'm like, well,
yeah,
actually it is.
Forcibly, no, I'm not.
Where
no,
is
you're
this
not.
fountain of youth? Where did you find it?
We-
And give me
Apparently runs in the family.
We're convinced she is Faye. So
Yeah.
There are
That's
many
right.
traits that show she is fairy folk, and that it makes sense. All right, so next the guess was for Hyde, and you said late 20s, if I'm correct.
Yep, that's correct. Yep.
So I was kind of going for your age based off of what Wayne said, being in my age group. I just turned 22 a little earlier this month.
So when we were talking about celebrating birthdays at the beginning week of the month, that was for Hyde, and yes, Hyde turned 22.
That's still weird for me to say.
she is our baby
Freshly
of our group.
22. Oh yes, I am the fetus.
So slowly go.
don't start that again.
Stop.
Oh God.
dirty
You
people.
brought it back.
There were some things accidentally said last night, but
You don't do that with
Horrible
fetuses, I'm
mental
sorry.
images.
be
God.
said.
Coming from the young one who happens to have
No!
grown up on 4chan.
No!
So take that
The
out.
The
Okay,
words
but-
came out of your mouth. That was your brainchild.
Akko's age.
So
Anyway.
back on track.
Moving swiftly forward.
Akko, you had said, what was it, mid-30s? I think you had said? Is that correct, Ken?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I thought. Yeah, mid-30s.
Mid-30s?
28.
Akko is the younger of the Zenko Akko.
Yes.
He's the
Couple.
second youngest.
And yes, also a lawyer.
See, there's also a gender thing here because generally speaking, guys want to be seen as
Yep.
older up until maybe like 40, right?
Right.
It's the hair, isn't
and,
it?
and then girls want to be seen as younger. So I maybe
Well,
it's
no.
because
I just
you
wanna be
guys
seen as however old you think I
intentionally,
am.
even subconsciously, might either dress or do your hair in a way that meets that sort of criteria.
I
to try
promise
and
you, we have
meet some
put
sort of
zero
style
effort into
standard.
our appearance today.
Well, yeah, admittedly, this is as
These are
relaxed
pajamas.
and non-done up as you could see all of us. Because
It's
we were
true.
up late moving, passed out, woke up, I fed them. They did at least have coffee.
It's
true.
true.
And tea.
This
and
is now
tea,
my fourth.
And then we started
fourth
for the
cup?
show.
Fourth.
And so they had not prepared for air. No makeup here, folks. This is raw.
I might be
This is
eyeliner from like last week. Maybe.
So
Yeah.
now all of you had guessed Ken's age, and there was a variety of.
I based mine off of when Wayne said that we would be in a similar age group.
Yes.
Okay.
So you took
And
that to account. And
zero
both of you
other-
felt a bit older.
Yep. I
Yep.
ignored that earlier comment, just going by what
Just appearance of what you
thought.
see and knowing.
I
about
kind of gave a
profession-
double answer. I said I was going to guess later 20s and then
Yeah. So Ken.
brought it down more.
I think I may have forgotten. I think I'm 26.
Nice.
So somewhat splitting
Nice.
the difference.
Yeah,
Between,
okay,
Right?
all right.
So between Hyde and Akko.
Yeah. And so it's kind of one of those where fits into the realm of what we're talking, and we just don't talk about my age because I'm twice as old as everybody. But is what it is.
You're not twice as old as me.
Not quite, but significantly. But no, it's entertaining because, like I said, I think everybody tends to assume or tends to just naturally put people near their own age because they're interacting.
Yeah.
And so I've always believed that. And it's even worse online because we've run into the situation where if you've been gaming with people and all you've got is either a voice or their actions or discussions online, and then you actually have an opportunity to learn more about them, the chance that you actually get their age correct is very low. And I kind of want to suggest you not do that just because these are spit shields and yeah.
I did not.
And people share. And, okay, anyhow.
I did not.
As Hyde starts to chew on metal.
Nervous habit.
She's the local velociraptor.
This is true. Velociraptor happens. All right, so with that, Ken, I've been dominating kind of the direction of the show and where we've gone with it today. It is past time if we choose to take a break.
Yes, please. I want tea.
And so I don't know if you
coffee.
need a break in, but I think all of us need to refresh drinks. And we can
That's
come
fine.
back and switch things into more of a news and article related issue. So with that, we'll
things to
take a
talk
break.
about.
Do we-
Go
Do we
ahead,
not
Ken.
have Geek Cred to go yet? We've not done Geek Cred yet.
Well, we can. We can. It's just it's already 12 after the hour, and so we at least need to
Okay,
take a break.
okay.
We can come back with Geek Cred. But let me grab a song. I'll give us a little bit of time, so I can throw music into the mix. So we'll do another OC remix because I love OC remix and it's games and love and things like that, and that's a wireless card. But with
Wait,
that, you're listening to
Overclock
Show X
remix?
on VTWProductions.com, and we'll be back right after this break for some Geek Cred and then talking about news and otherwise. Before we go into it, as I do with all the shows and stuff, please feel free to email into the show even during the break. I have it up and we'll talk about any of your Geek Cred, as well as I'd love to hear some discussions about things you've been misidentified as age, if you've taken your personality type, if you've had any of those kind of fun interactions that we've had on the show today, or if you have any questions for myself, my guests, or Ken about things we've been talking about or things you'd like us to talk about. So with that, we will catch you after this break in about 4 minutes. You're listening to Show X, and we'll be right back.
You're listening to Show X on VTWProductions.com. send in your emails to showx@vtwproductions.com.
Delicious.
Right. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Show X. Oh, gosh. The joys and fun of having others on.
Sheer gluttony. And
It's delicious.
Yes, Hyde was recommending a new way to consume the pumpkin spice cookies I made this morning. To go with the pumpkin spice pancakes that we had earlier, with the true maple syrup on those. But this is pumpkin spice cookie inception, in that it's got a pumpkin spice cookie covered.
So it's the delicious cookie that has been baked and through the oven process, covered in dough that we had not yet baked. So it's cookie dough on top of the cookie that is it's
both.
if only it had uncooked dough in the middle, then it would be perfect.
oh my gosh. Sounds so good.
Crispy on the outside, doughy on the inside.
It's just crispy on the bottom, doughy on the
then,
top.
just to make it as white girl as possible, we'll make sure to make up a pumpkin spice latte to dip it in.
Ew. Listen, I know I stand apart from most white girls in that I don't actually like pumpkin spice lattes.
Not fair. I like pumpkin spice chai latte or chai teas. And so,
I haven't tried that.
I like pumpkin spice everything.
Sorry, Ken.
I really enjoy venti caramel macchiato, one of those stupidly caramel sweet coffees from Starbucks, once a year. Like when the Christmas coffee time comes around, I'll have one, and then I'm like, okay, that's me done. That's the whole year's worth. It's too
That is
sweet.
all.
That's the one Akko likes.
What?
Oh, really?
Caramel.
Well, likes caramel, but I was gonna say Akko refuses anything in coffee because it taints it. And
We had a Starbucks gift card.
It's black coffee.
yes,
It is always.
Oh well,
black
so
coffee.
this is where, as Ken, I had mentioned about the coffee. Your entire coffee spreadsheet, and I was sharing it out to others.
Coffee spreadsheet?
Oh, have you not heard about Ken's coffee spreadsheet?
I need more information.
Ken, is it time for us to re-educate people about your spreadsheet? Before we take
Okay, I can do this.
just the existence of it, and then we'll get back into geek cred and we'll start things off, because we need to remind people to check out the Ken spreadsheet however often. All right, I'm going to put your screen up on the main screen so everybody can view it, and that way people can play along.
That looks pretty. I love data.
So help walk people through the joy of how you have set up Coffee version 1.2.
Sure. So, this is an ongoing project, but basically what happened was I was working for a company at one point where I was told to do work, and I couldn't be seen not doing work, and it was an IT office job type thing. But then they proceeded to give me no work. And when I asked for work, I got told to get back to work. Which is so the only thing I could really do was drink coffee and pretend to be working on spreadsheets. So I had two means to get around this. One was I had an extension that would automatically download my Reddit feed into a spreadsheet, and then I would just read Reddit through a spreadsheet, so it looked like I was doing work. And secondly, I had this coffee spreadsheet, which originally had just me, and then two other guys, and then three, and now it has something like I don't know, 11, 12 people on it, all of whom take part in the rating of coffee. It started off as just a means to escape boredom, like being in prison. And it sort of grew arms and legs and tabs. And so I have now personally rated 165 coffees from around the world.
Wow.
And when I say around the world, I do mean it. Here's the different places.
The map of coffee.
I like data.
I am thrilled.
Wait, were there 13 coffees from Ethiopia?
Yeah, absolutely. 13, yeah. There's loads of Ethiopian coffees. Yeah.
Wow.
Makes me want to send him.
Prominent, of course.
Yeah, 20 from Colombia.
But there are some from the UK.
I haven't seen it from Morocco.
I'm glad to see that one of my colleagues is actually using the spreadsheet right now and is logging
Yeah,
in.
that's shared right now.
So yeah, here we have all of our different ratings. Now, because we realize that somebody who is not a coffee connoisseur, right, if they want to rate something that they like, they're quite likely to give it a 10, right? Or if they don't like it, they're quite likely to give it a 1. And the problem is, if we share one of the most popular tastes with them, what will happen is the overall average will be skewed horribly due to the fact that somebody who knows nothing about coffee has rated it a 1. So we introduced a weightedness. So basically, the more coffee you taste, the higher number of tastes you've had, the more weight your vote has. So
you're making Akko very happy with how you've set up the spreadsheet.
So my rating is currently at 1.0, so my vote is worth 1 vote, whereas everybody else's is worth less than that. Because due to the fact I've got so many coffees tasted. My vote for a coffee is worth more than the average man, which is nice. Now, we also have a stats page per person, so you can see each person, and it pulls from the ratings tab, and it works out your favorite coffee, your most hated, your average rating, your preferred strength, and all that sort of stuff. We've got bar charts that, to be fair, need updated. We don't really use them that much.
Yes.
So you can see where the ratings go across. Rating versus price. So you can see that if there's any sort of,
Is there a correlation between a better coffee costing more money, or is it just?
Yeah, because so some coffees, for example, we had the Cafe, the what's it called, Cafe Lua coffee, which is let's see if I can find it here actually. Kopii Luwak, there it is. So this is actually from Sumatra, but it's from a very specific forest where there's these cat-like creatures known as civets.
This is the cat poo ones, right?
Yeah, the cat. So what they do is they ingest the beans and poop them out, but they don't actually digest them. However, it does change the flavor, and so they clean them thoroughly. And then right? And
how many times have you consumed cat poo coffee?
I actually don't record how frequently we have it. Only my overall rating.
Okay.
But I did give it a 9 out of 10, and so did the other 2 people who've tried it. So that says a lot about it. It's got some very high ratings.
Interesting.
Refining process.
Have you ever rated a coffee 10 of 10?
Oh, I have only rated 1 a 10, and that's the David Lynch Organic House Roast, which is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful coffee. It is just so. It's not overwhelming with flavor like some coffees are that are flavored, etc. This is not a flavored coffee. It's just the beans are delicious in themselves. Whether you have it black or you have it white, it's just absolutely amazing. But if you add anything sweet to it, it's completely unnecessary. It itself is sweet. It's just perfect.
Nice.
So we also have where was I? By brand, so you can see if we have certain brand preferences, which makes sense because they often use the beans from the same area, kind of thing. So I thought there'd be some more correlation. There actually is. Ratings versus strength, so you can see if there's sort of like a correlation there. Maybe people generally prefer strong coffees or whatever. Then each person's averages. This one's quite an interesting one. So how people rate. This is sort of a psychological sheet. So you'll see that my rating is actually almost a perfect bell curve, right? I'm the blue one here, which is really nice. It shows that I try to evenly spread my ratings, and I really do. Because how do you differentiate between a 3 and a 4? You know, if it's a bad coffee, can you have a differentiation? It's easier between a 9 and a 10 because it's it's either the best or it's almost there. So you'll see that most people tend to trend towards giving things like 7s and 8s, with an average of 7 being the most common. People just love to give everything 7. So I like it, but I don't know how much. So what we should all strive to do is have a median rating system. There's actually some psychology behind this in economics. If you give a rating system out of 100, right, it's meaningless. Like, how do you differentiate between 98 and 97? Same with the 10 for some people. But if you do it out of 5, like the Amazon rating system, if something's got lots of 1 stars, it's terrible. If it's got lots of 5 stars, it's great. But when you're on Amazon, do you ever choose something that's got 2.8? I mean, really, that's almost just an average rating, right? But you never would click it. You never even open it.
You would tend to avoid it, but for me, I also look, because there's other stats to it, right? You go to Amazon to buy something, you get something that has 4.85 or something, but it has 6 ratings. Versus the one that's got a 4.3 but has 3,000 ratings.
Absolutely.
And so it's one of those, and I always
difference.
look at the comments when it's like so lowly, like so few ratings to see, do they all just say this is the best, or is there actual analysis to it? Because is it a bot or someone that was paid to give a review versus actual owners giving reviews they care about? And so I agree with you in how you get a statistical significance from them.
This makes me a little bit excited and wants me to go back and start doing that for my do more stats for my anime rating. Just kind of put its own special stat page.
Aka's blog that they do about anime and how they've rated so many different series.
Mine's the curve just like that, which is funny.
So
he's got a great curve.
Well, this is why Akko's actually geeking out heavily listening to you describe about how you've set up your stats.
I love data.
he really does enjoy the fact that you put so much thought into this. And so,
Well, that's the thing. If you have a department of computing scientists and mathematics, what else are we going to do with our spare time, you know?
Great coffee.
Coffee chart.
and analyze the data behind it. So I'm very almost finished if you want to finish the tour. Finally, the last two things we have is our own personal links and resources that we found interesting, like Bulletproof Coffee. I don't know if you've seen that sort of trend that went around a couple of years ago where basically you put a big dollop of butter in your coffee.
I do it for my
salt.
keto, so yes.
So we have a couple articles that we've shared individually.
You can't see the horror on my face, but just know it's there.
And then lastly, we have an RSS feed that updates from dailycoffeenews.com, so we can see the latest coffee news from around the world as well.
Well, and
That's awesome.
So that's a little spreadsheet. If you are interested, I'm happy to send you
give us
a view on
give
the
us
link.
the
if you wanna
give
just-
us the view
Yes.
link so we can put it into the IRC real quick, and that way people who are watching can see what that is. And we'll do the view link, and that way you all can truly play
Try out
along with
coffee
us.
news.
And so, whoa!
All right. Sorry, I didn't mean to do meta there.
It's like, I suddenly saw
Listening to the
myself.
experience.
You share me, I'll share you.
Very happy. No, that's
Very
good.
happy.
That's good. And like I said, yeah, you earned lots of bonus points for your level of geekdom in there about coffee, because the other three members of this party in the room enjoy some coffee.
So that, and I think we've all made weird Excel spreadsheets about things.
Yes.
So yours would be anime. Mine was my Pokemon cards. My Pokemon card collection.
Nice.
Nicely.
Explain your
detailed.
spreadsheets.
I only have the first 151, but I'm very proud of it.
Nice, nice. Good.
It's
Yeah,
time.
well,
By the time I had finished cataloging down to seeking, I was already at 2,000 cards.
Oh, interesting.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah. It was pretty bad.
Coming out of the break, we have a recommendation to play the game that we were playing before. And
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Ken, are you in? Well, if you go to the our latest email we got from Agrius SW,
Oh, okay.
and he really, as he logged in specifically on the show, was loving playing the Age game. And so in this, if you bring up his screenshot, Ken, for yourself, and I have it here in the room, for
I have it
everyone
here,
to
yep.
make an assessment of Agrius SW's age. And now, since he's in the IRC, he will be able to tell us, after we've all guessed, what his actual age is. And so, with this,
This is
let's see.
a dangerous game. It's a dangerous, dangerous game.
Yeah, he sent 2 images in, so I'll show the first one, and then the second one, for everyone to kind of judge and make an assessment. And we'll go around
Good
the room
photos.
here, and so let's start. Which direction do we want to go? Do you want me to start?
Youngest
around,
first.
or other way around?
Don't do this to me.
Age order.
Well, so with zero context, just your face? That's
Yep.
all we're going off of? All right. Oh god, I'm really bad at this.
That's all right. That's why it's a game.
That's what makes it fun.
24?
Okay, so we got a 24.
That's about where I was.
That's where you guys last time.
Yeah, I know, but that's why I was gonna change it
She's
just
going
because
24 and sticking to it.
everybody's 24. I'm looking at little features. I'll throw a 25 out there.
Okay, got a 25,
I'll go younger, so 20, 21.
20 or 21. Ken?
Good shirt, by the way. Good shirt.
I was tempted to go that young, but I don't trust it. In the background, we have a rose, an Xbox pad, we have a lamp. Okay, let me try and work it from context. Does it look like he's living at home? I'm going to.
No context. Just make it.
I know,
make a comment.
because that first picture, I was like, ooh, yes.
But then again, the color of the curtains would imply that the house
How would you
is
just
ready to be
stop?
sold or available for renters
Would
because
you
it's
just
very plain
stop,
colors.
Ken? Just
So I'm
make
going to
it-
assume he's renting, which might increase the age slightly.
I went by lack of lines on the face.
He does have
There
a
are
baby
lines
face.
around the eyes, but not on the face. So
I have lines
I'm
around
gonna
my
go
eyes,
with
too.
24.
Okay, guys, he got a 24. Now, I have had context in the past, but admittedly, Agrius SW has gotten lost amongst other things in my mind. And
Yeah.
so I am going to go, I guess, highest of the group and say like 26. But partially because I know you're engaged, I know you've been doing stuff, but at the same time, I swear you've just barely gotten through school, if I remember all of the various emails that have come in and such. So,
So, yeah, I don't
I
know anything about
in
you,
reality, I would
unfortunately, so
probably
mine
say
is a
like
blind
22,
guess.
But
Yeah.
That's just me. All right,
I like this.
So that is our guests, and everyone else is welcome to jump in on the discussion. So the nice thing is we do have, or since you're in the chat there, AgriSSW, what would you, let's see, have you said it? And you had it in where it said, first you came in saying that we had a few comments come in the RC. So give us the answer specific AgriSSW, and once you pop it up, I will tell everybody. Kuro, talking about coffee, had said roasting, he's got a bunch of, 10 pounds of various green coffee to roast?
Nice.
And he said that roasting green is really nice because it stores forever when it's still green, so I always have super fresh coffee. Agnes, talking about spreadsheets, said, I made spreadsheets for my 40K collection.
Ooh, someone else 40K.
Yeah,
Condolences and
Akko also has spreadsheets for 40K.
More than a few.
Hey.
Hando commented 29 for a few more days, and then which AgriSSW said, thank you for the compliment, and Empire for the win. And Hando, who's also, by the way, the old man in the virtual room right now, said, all of you post-Gen Xers look so young because y'all had the internet and didn't drink beer in the woods on the weekends like we did.
I like the voice.
Yeah,
Honey, I went through high school in Montana, let me tell you.
And Hando continues like, it says,
why you
life
look
was
older
hard
than
back then. Grandpa Hando voice.
Shit.
All right, so the actual answer from AgriSSW is 32.
What?
Last month.
All right. Well done, sir.
very nice.
Damn!
I am
My
impressed.
estimation of renting.
I totally would have carded him, by the way.
You look like a child, so good job.
All right, we're close in age.
Someone else who's
Another Fae?
someone else
You see someone else from the Fae folk in the room?
Although I act so childish, I get really competitive about age, and I'm like, oh, dang it, I'm not older. I always get really excited when I'm older than somebody, even if it's by like 2 months. And I'm like, yes.
That's funny because I'm the opposite. I'm like, damn it, I'm so old. I'm gonna die quicker.
I was so excited when I turned 30. I was like, I think I'm actually an adult now. I don't think anybody can question it when I turn 30. This is pretty good. And then I received an ebook of 101 Dalmatians and a little Dalmatian toy from my parents, and I was like, I love this.
You are never too old to appreciate Disney. It's okay.
This wasn't just Disney. No, this was like
this is classic?
the original novel.
Okay,
of-
wait. Sorry. My mistake. I forgot your family. So the other thing I've said about Zenko before is that she grew up in the like 30s and 40s and stuff like that.
the 70s. Come on.
Well, okay. I played with all of my like mom and aunt and uncle's toys from the 60s and 70s. So those are absolutely normal and contemporary for me. So those are very normal things. I also grew up with my grandparents a lot, and so hearing all their stories from like 40s, that all sounds really normal to me. And I'm hard pressed to say that 20s stuff would be antique. It's like the borderline between antique and vintage, and I still don't quite think of like 60s and 70s things as being vintage. I'm like, it's just a little bit older. And when somebody talks about an old movie and I go, oh, when was it made? And they're like, oh, sometime in the 80s. And I'm like, that's a new movie. What are you talking about?
She could be 30. She could be 300.
Yeah.
We're not really sure.
Well, and that's funny. Yeah, so when I try to
throw
share the
everything
media...
Now it makes sense.
Yeah.
I do have to sleep in total darkness.
When I have had to introduce them to modern things, and if it has color for one, I already know that it's gonna be something like, that Zenko may not have seen.
We watched Buster Keaton the other night.
I
love
actually
Buster
showed them a
Keaton.
Buster Keaton movies from the 20s they hadn't seen.
Yeah.
It made me feel very good about myself.
It was
Everyone
great.
should go see Seven Chances, a silent movie from Buster Keaton. They made a remake in the 2000s called The Bachelor or something like that. It is hilarious, and you have to really appreciate the physicality of Buster Keaton. That man was an athletic genius.
Oh, yeah.
Physical comedy.
I think you're gonna hate me because I struggle to watch anything that's like more than maybe like 15 years old, because especially if there's animation involved, because I sort of go, it just ruins the realism for me, and I just can't enjoy it, especially like old horror films and stuff. That I really, really struggle with.
Well, they stop being horrific and start becoming a bit comedic
funny.
or
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, okay, because so I can understand for certain things with special effects. There were some special effects that were so clever that they could do so much with just, either string or bits of clay. Or I come from a puppeteering family, and so like actual puppets instead of CG is our thing. We love seeing all of that.
They like
that
practical types of effects and such.
By puppeteering, she means both her uncles, one who passed, worked in Hollywood special effects and puppeteered Chucky and Bride of Chucky.
Yes,
among
the
other
actual Chucky
things.
movies.
Yeah. So Chucky's facial expressions. Now it is a collaborative effort, but the main things like mouthing the lines, lip syncing the lines, that is my uncle for all the
That's
Chucky movies
really
until
cool.
anything brand new now, because I know they're starting to come out with more. But
Terminator?
all the original ones, yeah.
This
And then
is
in
where-
Terminator 2, where the Terminator cuts off his arm to show the family that he's like actually a robot. My uncle is sitting just below where the camera is showing, puppeteering that mechanical arm. Stuff like that.
Yes.
That's really cool.
Which makes it really fun when I talk to their family about things for cosplay and effects and such.
Yeah,
Because the experience, and I've touched the Chucky hand that he stole out of the trash.
that's right. It was a extra piece, and he took it home, and it's slowly disintegrating in a desk at my grandparents' house.
Creepy.
Yeah, when they pulled it out, I was like, "This is Chucky's hand."
Yep.
Whoa. So very cool. Anyhow,
We got
so
sidetracked.
now that we've had sharing and all this stuff here, let us talk and get into a little bit of.
I'm a geek. Are you a geek? Geek cred, level up.
While we have a little bit of time here, because Ken, I know you've been doing at least some things geeky, and you want to talk about it. And I will say to the group here, feel free to comment on any of the things we talk about, because it's not just us dictating, but react.
Absolutely. It's an open discussion. So there's two things I want to recommend on Android, actually, because there's a couple of games I've been playing that are just,
Hey.
they're just fantastic. So first of all, the one that I enjoyed less, I suppose, that I'll save the best for last, is a game called Colonizer. And it's a very simple concept.
Wait, is
that
this colonizer or colonizer? Very different games.
Depends on
Just
your
saying.
age.
That was the coffee thing earlier. That's no, it's Colonizer, and that basically is this. I've seen the theme done before. This
Okay.
game exists in multiple formats, but this is the sort of like author's original take on this format. But basically, you start off with one single planet with a number of minions or ships or whatever on it, and you need to take over all the planets in the solar system.
Okay.
And around certain planets, there are a bunch of stars. And basically, that's how you do your sort of like extra score or achievements. And it's also how you. So even if you win, but you don't get any stars, there's no point in winning. You
okay.
want to get as many stars as possible because it's a resource across the whole game. You unlock stuff with those stars for like the next, well, not level, but for the next time you play. And basically, you just try and take over, and you go against other AIs. You can have other players as well, and it's really fun, really simple concept. And there's nothing more satisfying than taking over like a couple of planets, then a couple
Ruling
more,
the
then a couple-
world.
and then suddenly you get to that one tipping point where you're like, okay, it's not a challenge anymore. And then you send dudes from every single planet against the enemy all at once. And there's just this swarm of like 1 million guys going towards them. It's so satisfying.
Good.
I really do recommend it. It's a free game. However, you can also get the unlimited version, which includes all the unlocks that you can unlock through the game normally. And has no ads. It's called Colonizer Unlimited.
Nice.
Otherwise, in the normal game, it's completely free, and you can also watch ads if you want to, which will give you more score in the game as well. So basically, you can support the authors in multiple different ways if you please. Also, they have some digs at Trump in the game if you particularly enjoy that kind of thing, which is vaguely amusing in the way they do it. Okay, the other game I recommend is I don't know what it's translated from, actually. I think it's like Norwegian, maybe? I don't know.
Okay.
But it's called Buried Barns. And I thought it was Buried Bones when I downloaded it, and I was confused. I thought they had a typo in one of the titles. But it's Buried Barns, as in buried the word barn with ES at the end.
Okay.
So it's a dungeon crawler. in a sort of a decision-making process. Basically, there's always a tree in front of you. You're in a single room, and in front of you at all times there are two other rooms, and those two rooms each link to two other rooms.
Okay.
And you are continually deciding which of the either to go left or right. And when you do that, you either enter combat, or you have an event, or nothing happens, or you find something, or whatever. And you're trying to get through as many levels as possible. I believe it's never ending. I'm not too sure. And each time you play, you play as like traditional archetypes. So you play as like a mage, a priest, a ranger, a warrior. But there's like 25 other classes you unlock throughout the game.
Oh wow!
And they have some like preferences for stats. So like the mage prefers intellect. I think the warrior prefers strength, that kind of thing. And you find there's a huge weapon and armor system in the game. So you unlock more items as you go. You also unlock skills. So unlike many other games out there, instead of just ranking up the abilities you already have, every time you encounter any corpse, including one of somebody you kill, you can learn from it. So you take one of the skills from that corpse. So if you do defeat some angel, for example.
Wait, that guy over there looks like he's doing something kind of cool. Hey, come here, man. Hey, just want to talk to you real quick.
Shang.
Stabby, stab. Ah. Well, let's see what you know.
It's a cool concept. I started playing it, and I was a little annoyed actually. First thing I noticed was there are some typos in it because it is in the middle of being translated. It's not fully translated. And that annoyed me. Before I even started playing, I saw a couple typos, and I thought, do I really want to try this game if it's not even fully translated? So glad I did. It is amazing. Probably one of my favorite games this year so far on Android.
Oh wow.
Neat.
And secondly, when you first open up, it needs to then download content.
That's.
I know it's dumb, and I hate it as well.
I know what you're dealing with because I feel similar in that. Oh, I just got this game. It finally says it's up to date. I can't wait to play it. More updates. What?
Exactly. So download it. Like E1, 4G, 3G, it'll be fine. It's tiny. But then download the real thing once you're on Wi-Fi, right? But honestly, great game. It feels a little bit Dark Souls-y because I've only ever gotten, I think, the maximum maybe 40 or 50 levels in. And I think there are hundreds of thousands before you reach something of a conclusion. So, you know.
So
So lastly, before I finish up with what this is about, you also have a sort of overall resource similar to the previous game where you sort of like inherit, I think it's called like soul gems or something, but every time your character dies, depending on how many corpses you looted, depends on your score. So you then you can use the score to buy items that help your next character when they start up. So you might start up with a better skill or a better item or something. And it's a really beautiful game. Really do recommend it. It's called Buried Bournes, and it's free and has ads though. It does have ads, but nothing intrusive.
It is available on iOS as well, and it looks to me like that's basic hiragana.
Oh, it's like a
in the name at the end of it. Oh, whoops. There in the name. So I'm assuming Japanese.
Katakana.
Or katakana?
Yeah, dungeon RPG. So dungeon RPG.
Yeah, it's a roguelike RPG according to the wiki.
Well, so they were translating the actual.
There's Japanese letters on there, and I can read them.
Yeah, she can read the Japanese on it.
It just says dungeon RPG.
When you said it was translated from somewhere, it's
some
Japanese.
Oh, okay.
That's why I was turning to my experts in the room.
We're not that experts.
It's honestly not. It's
The
not
local
inclusive at all.
experts.
The fact that it's in a different language sometimes. The problem is more just sometimes they have like a random word. Like I found this one legendary item today, and I was like, "Oh, cool, legendary! I wonder what it does." And it said something like liturgy, and I was like, "Okay, that's the name for something. I'll click on that and see." And it said needs to be translated, and I was like,
"Oh no!
No!
Oh no!"
So, you know, if anything, to me, I just took it as a sort of like, well, this kind of adds an element of mystery to the game now. I don't know what this does. Let's see.
Well, I'll try to hit someone with this and see if it helps them or hurts them.
Exactly.
You know, actually, that would be a really fascinating thing in a game where if you
if that was
actually
the actual mechanic
included
of the
that
game?
as part of a mechanic of the game, and you have to like up various linguistic stats. Okay, so I majored in linguistics, so that's part of what's going on here.
Her brain's like, this would be fun.
Yeah,
Oh, dear.
so linguistics and Japanese. So I think that could be really interesting if it's like a built-in element of the game that there are different things, especially if you have more than one language in the game.
So there have been games that have done some limits of that in RPGs. I've seen ones where initially every time you read a sign or something, it's in some other language. But as you learn certain characters through either runes or things like that, it starts to give you partial translation. And as you're getting ahead of it, you can start to actually figure it out yourself. And
You do that in
love
Nier,
things
too.
like that.
That reminds me of like the Albed language in Final Fantasy X.
Final Fantasy X? Nice. So no, that kind of thing exists, and there's another element to learning in that way, like the hard way is like Skyrim and Oblivion have always had it with their ingredients. But when you try to make potions, initially you get something, you don't know what it does. You eat it and see if it hurts or helps you.
Yeah.
And as you start to first do that, it gives you like a stat on it, but it may mix with other ingredients differently, so it encourages you to play with elements, and as you put different mixtures together, if they work, it'll often unlock an actual, yep, this does this as well. And I think each one has up to 4 abilities, or 4 things per ingredient of everything in the game. So there are some games that kind of take that ability to learn and find organically in the game to another thing, which I love.
That's
Now
really
you
cool.
can play the game and just explore. You know?
Because I love the kind of like puzzle solving, mystery solving, and learning bits and pieces of things and not having all the information at once.
Yep.
It was fun when I was just playing around with Breath of the Wild, Zelda game, and I'm smiling really big over here. But it was fun that you can throw a bunch of things into a cooking pot and you don't know what it's going to make, but once it makes it, it gives you all the information about
It's
it.
like when you really cook.
Yeah, Akko doesn't let me experiment in the kitchen anymore.
That's dangerous.
You let
Very
him experiment
dangerous.
with alcohol.
I do.
Or it's like you guys doing
I am more
alchemy.
trusting.
Yes.
Fair.
So, no, I love those kind of elements in game, and so that's very cool. I'm sorry, Ken, you were saying...
No, that was everything. And I want to move on so you have a chance to go on as well.
All right. We're running out of time
I'm
here.
actually going to skip the next part entirely, but I wanted to talk a little bit more about the Pathfinder campaign that I'm preparing for me and Kitten.
Yes.
Because I have added to it a little bit more, but let's leave that for next week.
Okay, good. And we'll do some in-depth, because I'm hoping, now holidays over and schedules are different, I'll be actually able to get some back into my D&D campaign with my group again, so we'll see if that happens.
That'd be good.
Also, okay, so on my end, when it comes to Geek Cred this week, I'll keep it somewhat short. Still been 3D printing, ups and downs, still trying to get my newer R2 to work, because it's had more issues, because Kickstarter. My R1 Kickstarter continues to have issues. It got clogged again. My R1 Plus, which was like their actual commercial version that Robo did, is great. It's still printing. Currently printing a massive head of Alphonse down there.
Is that what it's doing?
Yeah.
Ooh.
I'm getting a model for me to start making my costume that I have to do next to start giving me ideas. But along with that, I've got a new crafting tool that I talked about, and I recently put on my YouTube Doc Dead channel for people who want to check it out, an unboxing of my latest toy tool crafting element that I put into the guild hall downstairs.
I'm so excited.
Which is my not my handheld, but my desktop digital vacuum form machine.
Yay!
And this is the one where I talked to you, Ken, a little bit about how it has an element that heats up plastic, and you put an item underneath it, and then it has a vacuum set up where as you pull the plastic down over it, the vacuum sucks the plastic down over whatever item it is to make a very solid mold of it. Which can be used to make molds. It can be used to make your own items off it if you have what's basically a cast on there. Yes, Hyde perks up again.
Resin.
So she does resin casting on a lot of great jewelry, which you can mention through her cosplay page initially right now at Hide My Air Cosplay.
Hey, check it out. I make things.
But beyond that, when
It's
you get
cool.
her actual
Thanks.
brand for resin making, but
There are no errors in my resin.
no,
Thank you.
so there will be a different crafting one coming forward at some point for Hyde. But
We'll
does
work it
some
out together.
amazing
It
stuff
was
for
a
cosplay
username.
that is resin based. So I had an opportunity to work with something she'd already gotten a mold from someone else for, but just where I wanted to try it out as well. And so my first cast I did, and what you'll see in the actual video, and Hyde's in the background, you get to hear the reaction. But me doing my first pull on the vacuum machine, which is
It
really
was
neat.
really nice.
And it just
Okay, so coming from someone who's looking for a very perfect mold to cast resin in, because any flaw or bump on the actual mold will come out in the resin, then I have to do a whole other like sanding and fixing method. But the
it's
more
kinda like
perfect the mold
photography.
is,
Yeah, the better in, the better out. And so if a mold has an error, it's more work after the fact.
just to see how crisp the lines were and how perfectly it got the form of literally everything, it was really exciting.
Yeah, she's looking forward to seeing how the casting of resin comes out of these molds.
I cast silicone molds to cast resin in, and sometimes it's very finicky and very messy. And this
This has a little more precision.
it's so much nicer. Oh my god, I'm so excited for the possibilities.
So I'm looking forward to start doing more with the vacuum forming. I had one error this morning where I realize now there's actual fine tuning you could do on to make the clamp stronger.
Oh, that's what
Because I
happened.
had it where it must have loosened on its own or when I moved it. So the piece I got in started heating up and then it kind of fell out of the mold right before I was going to actually do the vacuum on it. So sadly, one of my pieces of plastic is now a warped mess and can't be used. But Agris SW, thank you for joining us and have a good rest of your day. All right, so those are my crafting pieces.
I was really excited about that. I'm currently casting resin in that mold. I haven't actually popped them out yet, so I haven't seen the result, but I am excited and I will post them.
We'll see if my prep work on the positives was enough to help, and we'll see how well the pull with the ABS plastic I used worked. So we'll see how that works. All right, so my gaming also is mobile this week, Ken. And so this is fun. So the ones I wanted to bring up is, one, I am still playing Fire Emblem Heroes. These two have done much more than me. Akko knows quite a bit about the game. I'm still fumbling through and just going to play it as I can, but it's fun. So that one's still there. I've recently picked up some new ones, and this is when I was waiting for something to happen. I forget what I was waiting for, but I was just hanging out, and so I just started going through the store again on apps to download some things. I think it was I was waiting for something to heat up for 3D printing or something. I don't know. But in doing so, I picked up the mobile app version of Skullgirls, which for anyone who's a 2D fighter type person, they did some interesting things in there. Because I have Skullgirls from back in like the Kickstarter or whatever version of it on my Steam account. It's a great fighting game. This one on mobile, they took away the element of you having to do any of the moving around, left, right, up, down, any of that stuff to do combos, and they really did it more of the strategy of when to attack, when to block, and when to do a super move kind of deal. Is kind of what they limited it down to, and it's one of the reasons I love it is the animation's all kind of hand-drawn type animation, and it is beautiful, beautiful. And so that one looks really good, and the gameplay of it's really nice. And no one plays PC games anymore. I lie. I recently updated the Arc server on BTW. If anyone wants to check out, we're now running the Ragnarok map, and I'm trying to still get some mods to work that I haven't figured out yet. But Ragnarok's going with a higher difficulty level, higher taming speed, and some other things like that. So everybody's currently playing Arc on the BTW side for that. Anyhow, so Skullgirls is neat. Another one I picked up is Voez, capital V-O-E-Z. This is a rhythm game, and it's kind of the classic where think DDR, think Guitar Hero, any of these. It plays music, and what I like about Voez, because I'll probably play a lot more of it, the interface on is real slick in that you're only playing notes across the bottom, so it's much more like the Guitar Hero style, but instead of it just tapping when it's appropriate, they use the touch device interface of motion, and so they have some things where you just tap on the screen where it's appropriate at the right time. Some of them you have to hold, like you would in those. Others you hold and swipe up along with the note, and others you swipe right or left with the note. And so it causes you to have to recognize what it is it's asking you to do, as well as to hit it in rhythm on time. So it adds some elements to make it kind of a fun, high-paced rhythm game. That's one. It's beautifully animated. It's very much a anime style type game. So cute characters, very anime drawn style and such. I don't know. There's a little bit of story behind it, but it's got a great visualization to it, and the music on it's been fun. So I want to play that some more. And the other one that I got that is kind of my light way of getting into a game that a lot of people I know on my Steam list play, but I refuse to because I'm an ass, is I got into Warships Blitz, which is World of Warships, the full-on game on the PC, but on mobile. And so the mobile versions are the Blitz versions. They have World of Tanks Blitz. Well, now they also have World of Warships Blitz. What's nice about it is they pull out a lot of the customization and a lot of the difficulty of getting into games and such, and let you just jump on it real quick. And so I've been playing several World Warship battles, and the interface is great because they, instead of a lot of them where you have to click on the screen to do stuff, like drag around stuff, that's just your visualization. They give you throttle and turning on one side of the device, and then the other side controls like firing your weapons, switching from primary to secondary weapons, firing torpedoes versus guns, to doing simple things like being able to put out fires and heal yourself with a health kit over time. And you play the one ship, you get into a battle. But other than that, it's basically World of Warships, and it's pretty darn slick. They have some auto tracking and stuff, so as you get onto a person, it actually you kind of have to set your cursor where you want based on them to where it's moving. When you finally shoot at them, though, it'll lock to that. And so from that, if they're continuing moving that thing, it'll keep your cursor relative to where you shot last time there. And so if they just keep trucking along that place, you can just keep shooting. If they, though, turn a little bit, slow down, speed up, now you'll either come short, far, so you constantly have to manage it. But it's cool.
Cause that sounds neat, because it sounds like they kept a lot of some of the key mechanics of World of Warships and just kind of simplified it a little bit, because World of Warships is actually a lot of fun. I like it, and it's pretty.
Well, and that's, yeah. And it's one of those, so the reason I say I'm like, is because I was really supporting the whole War Thunder franchise. Don't you look at me like that and judge. Because War Thunder, at the time when World of Planes was out, was better. War Thunder was the first to actually say we're doing all of them, and World of Warplanes basically said, we'll do tanks also, and we'll do ships. Now, admittedly, they got their ships made out first, and it was back and forth. And arguably, the individual world games are better now, especially that Warplanes added the ability to respawn and stuff like that, because that was something War Thunder did that was way more fun. You didn't just get pulled out of the air because someone ran into you and now you were done and had to respawn into a new instance. This one, they actually gave you a fleet of planes to play with. Same with tanks. Whereas warships, I don't know if they do that yet. If they let you have multiple queued up. But regardless, the Blitz version on the phone is surprisingly fun and easy to get into. So throwing that out there, that I've been enjoying World Warships Blitz on iOS now as well on my iPhone 10. It looks really good. So that's pretty much what I've been playing.
I have one last question for you to do with that. What's the graphics like?
Oh, they're gorgeous. All of the games I mentioned today, they're gorgeous games, where you start to realize the power of these mobile devices and how they do it, because both the World of Tanks Blitz and Warships Blitz are really pretty games, and they're doing full 3D rendering on a mobile device that you would never even guess that it's mobile. I mean, it looks as good as most PC games. I mean, granted, you're on a smaller screen, and so they could probably get away with a lot lower resolution for the speed, but you're playing real-time online against real people, and it's great. And so those have been some of the mobile games I've actually really enjoyed recently. All right, so Ken, it is time for us to end our show today, and just for people that either, one, found us for the first time on Twitch today, which would be great, as we just started streaming on Twitch, and we stream every week at 2 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. GMT. Here, you can find our main page at vtwproductions.com, and anywhere you find VTW Show X, find us online and everywhere. But Ken, I'll let you lead us out fully, but please also mention the art contest, because I need to get off my ass and submit some stuff.
Yeah, so we do a bunch of stuff with the show. We are available on twitter.com/showx, twitter.com/docdead for Mr. Wayne here, and twitter.com/gox for myself. You can find us on Facebook, which is where we use that mainly for show stuff, and memes and news and that kind of thing. You can just search for ShowX there and find
all
us.
kinds of gaming fun stuff.
Yeah. You can find us on patreon.com/showx, and any support is appreciated. The minimum amount that you can give is $1 a month, and every little helps keep our servers and online and our software up to date and everything like that. You can also check out the art contest. Go to www.vtwproductions.com, click on forums at the top, go down to the ShowX board, and in there we have the art contest. All you need to do from there is submit photography, drawing, music, poetry, whatever you wish, anything that can fall under the wide umbrella of art. And there's a bunch of themes you can follow. Go check it out. I think we've got a fair bit of time left in the art contest yet, but it's still fun to take part sooner rather than later, before you forget. Also, the prize for winning is shoutouts, so if you do win, we will give you a shout on our Facebook page, as well as here on the show live. So we can give a link out to any of your preferred websites or places you store your art online as well.
Yeah, admittedly, it's like the worst thing you can do for photographers, where you say it's exposure, but we're just doing it for fun. And so it's really just a way to get your stuff out there.
We're not actually going to use your product, it's not as we're not using it. This is a scam to gain rights to. The only rights we say is that we'll use it possibly for future advertisement of the contest
of the
itself.
show.
Right. So, well, not even for the show, just for the contest itself.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it. So
maybe one day we'll make a calendar of all the winners, because you guys
it's
do
like a
some
charity
great art.
that spends money on itself. Is acceptable, right? And I think that's everything. So thanks for having me on the show, sir. Much appreciated. And it's very lovely to meet all you guys as well.
Yeah, it's good to meet you too.
Yeah. So with that, I do want to give each of you guys a chance to give your shout-outs real quick. So, Zenko Akko, what would you like to plug?
Let's see. We have our Zenko Akko cosplay page. You can find us on Facebook. There hasn't been a whole lot of activity recently, but hopefully that will ramp up very quickly.
As they get settled in here and we do our mini Guildhall stuff.
Right.
Because also Guildhall Galatea.
Yes, also Guildhall Galatea is on Facebook as well. That is the up and coming makerspace in the Denver, Colorado area. So be sure to check that out as we're gaining tools and interest for that.
And the anime blog?
Akko Anime. It's Akko Anime on WordPress.
And that way you can find reviews of all kinds of anime series and things like that. Really in-depth and good reviews, so check this out. And then Hyde.
I had my Era cosplay on Facebook. I don't have a web page or anything.
Well, and you can also usually find Hyde on Instagram, places like that.
It's true. I'm on most social media.
Cosplays and stuff like that. So yeah, social. She's
Post
our
on my
social
Facebook
media
most?
guru.
I do my best.
Yes. All right, so that is where you can find all of us, and that's where you have seen with Show X today and every week on VTWProductions.com. So please join us in the future. We look forward to seeing you, and please email the show at showx@VTWProductions.com so we can hear from you. Thank you, everybody, for joining in live, and please share it with all your friends. We will catch you again next week. So, all right, everybody, thank you, Ken, for joining, and thank you all. We'll see you again. Bye!
Bye!